Hi friends, this is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average Canadian wolfpack come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A safe space where being yourself is the ultimate goal. Each week we will bring you new episodes sharing our opinions on a ton of different topics in hopes we can get a better understanding of ourselves, each other, and this crazy world we live in. We want to build a community where we can show up as ourselves, be real, and lay it all out there. By sharing our opinions and experiences, we hope to reach others who can relate so we can all help each other learn, grow, and heal. But please keep in mind, as a disclaimer, none of us here are professionals, no one is giving any advice. We are strictly speaking of our life experiences, our opinions, and for entertainment purposes only. Now, with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. We hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am the host of the show, and today you guys are on episode 153, and I'm so excited. We have our first episode of Being Real with Dusty, and his first guest is absolutely electric, you guys. I cannot wait for you guys to hear the first episode. It is Being Real with Kasia and Dusty. It's all about healing and spiritual journey and coming into what is aligned to you and just everything that we love here on the show. I'm so excited for you guys to hear this episode. But before we get into it, I just want to remind you, if you are listening on platforms like YouTube and Rumble, make sure to like and subscribe, turn on those notifications. And if you're listening on the audio platforms like Spotify and Apple, you can also turn on notifications and give the girls a review. And boy, your team, your babes, a review. That would be amazing. And if you are on social media, you can find us all over Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at the Be Real Babe podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and all the love and support in season 6. We are having an absolute great time. We cannot wait to keep going on this season and cannot wait for you to hear this episode. So let's get to it.
All right, we've been waiting a while to make this happen, but today I have Cassie in the studio with me. I met Cassie on Instagram and ended up going on one of her sound bath sessions earlier this year. And I felt like I got a massive benefit from it, so I have done quite a few sessions since. Cassie is a DJ, a music producer, business owner, sound bowl practitioner, and a mother. And I'm sure I missed a ton. I looked into your background and I was amazed at how many things you're actually accomplished at. So maybe just tell everybody a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Where to start? Um, I mean, I I started playing classical piano when I was like 5, 6 years old, and I've always been. I was raised very musically. Dance lessons. I was in some high school bands. Worked with different producers. I have an eco-friendly clothing line called Cassie Bamboo. Before the pandemic, I was going to school. Well, it's been pre-law. Decided I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a politician. Wanted to make a difference. But then as time went on and everything started shutting down, I realized how valuable time is and how much I wanted to spend that with my son and not in an office working for someone else. So that's when I started my clothing line, Cassie Bamboo, and it became very successful selling bamboo face masks. And I got like busier than I've ever been in my entire life, and it pretty much financed like the funding of like my entire clothing line, which was awesome. And at that point, I dabbled in music, I guess you could say, here and there. And I don't know. I think like my eyes were open to a lot of things. And at that point, I was like, okay, cool. Like, how do you see the next 5 years? How do you see the next 10 years? Like, what are you really wanting to accomplish? Life is so short. Time goes so fast. Just seeing my now 5-year-old just growing up in front of my eyes. And yeah, I'm like, you know what? I just started producing music. I found a private coach. I went from not knowing what a DAW was to now being pretty proficient and being able to produce my own music and do all my own mixes and masters and working with other artists. And yeah, and then along that line, I started sound healing as well. I got really big into meditation and started buying a bunch of bowls. And it was just more for myself more than anything. And then when I started to see what a profound effect it had in my own life, I'm like, this is pretty cool. I want to share this with people. And then one thing led to the other. And then I just started having regular sessions. And I always kind of said, as long as people like kept coming, I would keep doing them. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was really impressed with is that when I've done your sessions, it's by donation only. And I'm thinking, this is crazy because what you do is amazing.
Thank you.
And I got so much benefit from it. And it was like, you're so that's why I think I said to you, like, you're one of the real deals,
Oh,
because you actually care about people's health, right? And it's really amazing, because a lot of people are out here to make money, and you're just not like that. So
yeah.
I was really impressed with that.
But the real yeah,
Um, yeah, go ahead.
like one
Go
of
ahead.
the like a big turning point for me. A friend got really sick and traditional medicine wasn't working, and that's when I started to look into shamanism. I don't know how I came across it in the first place, but I'm like, well, this is kind of different. This is cool. I came across a couple like very famous celebrity shamans that I felt weren't super genuine, and that's what led me to find Michael Harner, where I did my core shamanism training. And along that path too is when I started going to sound sessions and like sound baths. And I remember bringing my sister, who's a nurse, working full time, making like a normal living, and my business was doing quite well at the time. So I like bought her a pass to come with me, and she's like, Cassia, this is great, but this is just not affordable for normal people. And that's coming from a nurse that works full
Right.
time, and she's just like, this is
Right.
awesome, but like, and in that moment, I'm like, okay, I feel like I should take this. Like, what can I do? Like, how can I kind of make this more accessible for other people like my sister who like works so hard but can't afford this? When I felt like personally that it made such a like a transformation in my own life, I'm like, everyone should have access to this. So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So going back to the political stuff, were you politically leaning one way or the other?
Is that what we're going to talk about?
You don't have to you don't have to say exactly, but it
No,
just,
well,
yeah, just I was interested in that when you said that. I didn't realize you'd gone in
yeah, so I
to do
was
that.
living in Shanghai. I was there
Hmm.
for 3 months, and that was around the time when Trump was president. And I remember I was studying political science, like long distance or whatever, through UBC, and I was very cut off from like North America in general with the time difference and all of those things. So I got really into politics, and I just got really like upset, and I'm like, I really want to do something to
Hmm.
change this. And I started getting
Yeah.
that's when I actually changed. I was a English linguistics major, and I changed my major to political
Okay.
science, and then was going to go
Yeah.
down, yeah, law, and then politics start funnel or whatever.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so was I
Cool.
leaning I've always been more into American politics, to be honest. It's more my
Okay.
study.
Yeah. Which, well, it makes sense. We're right on the border,
Yeah.
right? So their political system is more important, in my
Yeah.
opinion, to us, because whatever happens there ends up happening here.
Yeah,
So.
I went through like a full like politicians boot camp on Victoria, and like
Mhm.
the whole thing basically training us to be
Cool.
politicians in the Canadian system though. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm like not sure.
Right. Right.
I'm really glad that I
Right.
tried it and such, but yeah, I feel like my calling is a little
Yeah.
different.
Like, when I was looking through your history, like, you're so diverse in the stuff you've done. Like, you were in a band too. Was it with your sister?
Yeah, Fan Death. That was I
Yeah.
was the replacement singer for the lead singer Dandy, because something happened between her and the
Uh huh.
producer, and they ended up breaking up, and it was really dramatic. And the producer was in charge of basically formulating the entire band, and he just said, "Wow, you're sisters and you can actually sing." I guess she was tone deaf or something, I'm not sure, but like he's like, "Do you want to replace her in this
Huh.
band?" And it was like a sad kind of synthopop, and especially because he was like writing a lot of the music and going through a breakup and going all this like through this hard time, but like it wasn't my taste of music, but it gave me kind of
Hmm.
the inside scope of what it takes to produce music and what like it actually looks like
Right.
logistically. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he actually said to me, he's like, because I said, I'm like, I'd love to learn how to produce music. He's like, you don't have the attention span to do it. He's like, you could never produce
Hmm.
music. And he wasn't the only guy that said that to me. So that's another thing that kind of added fuel to the
So then
fire.
you
Yeah.
gotta.
I'm like, I'm gonna be
Right.
a really
Exactly.
good producer, actually. Like
Well,
challenge accepted.
and that kind of
Mhm.
leads to where you're with that. Is it
Power
Power
Sound, yeah. Yeah,
Sound? Or,
it's like the
yeah.
first all-female label based out of LA. I was on their last album. I've did a couple different songs with them. Yeah, yeah, they're great. Jade's awesome.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so it's sort of, it was a grassroots. They kind of just started this up just for females, and
Yeah,
then it took off
yeah,
from there.
basically.
And they have like, do they obviously produce albums and
Yeah, I was on their first
things like
album.
that?
I'm like one of their like as lead
Cool.
producers. It was cool. I got like sponsored off of Cali Audio and like Ableton. They're all for like women in the music industry, because I think it's one of like what is it like
Cool.
2% of the producers are women or something like that, and even
Okay.
less are songwriters. So I feel like there's a big like yeah, it's heavily like there's a lot of males in that industry, and that really like
Right.
music is such a powerful thing, and then to just to think that like the voice is like that is influencing so many people is coming from a male perspective is kind of just like a little bit thought provoking. And that was my issue with a lot of lyrics growing up too.
Right.
Like why, like these rap, like I love rap music, but it's like a lot of it, I don't even need to say it out loud. You know exactly what I'm
Well,
thinking.
that's why I was never a rap fan because of
Yeah,
that. I didn't it didn't resonate with me. I'm not that type of guy. I'm not
yeah,
into speaking that way about women. So I never kind of resonated with rap. I was always into like alternative
yeah.
music.
For me, it was like Tupac and Biggie because it was like a lot about,
Yeah,
for me, my point of view, it was like talking about getting through a struggle and, about being really beaten down, but getting up and being successful regardless. And that is something that really resonated with me. So, yeah.
cool. That's really cool. And then you just did a festival
I
recently
did.
too, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Rifflandia.
played at
Yeah.
Rifflandia.
So how did
It
that
was
go?
great. Yeah, we got a lot of really good feedback. I brought a band with me just to do some
Cool.
just like electronic music with a band. I love Odessa, so I was kind of inspired by that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got to meet Paris Hilton and like Chris Lake and such. It was really cool.
Yeah, because there was quite a few fairly big name people there.
Yeah,
Was Salt Pepper
yeah,
there?
and Dr.
And yeah,
Fresh.
cool,
There's a lot. It was very
cool.
cool. Yeah, I actually met a couple really cool artists who planning an underground event for end of February, early March when I get to pick the DJs. So I'm
Yep,
going to pick, I've already reached out to a couple of the DJs that I worked with there about coming and playing at this underground show, and I can give more information about that soon. Pretty excited.
awesome. The other thing I noticed too that you do is something called silent discos, and I was really interested. And I actually was talking to my buddy about this yesterday, and they knew all about it. They've been to Mexico and they went to
Oh, that's
one, and
cool.
they said it was one of the most fun thing they've ever done.
Yeah,
So, do you do those on a regular basis
I
too?
was doing that not last summer, but the summer before. And it was like a
Hmm.
pop up sort of like guerrilla type style where you just like pop up out of like different locations, make an Eventbrite, have people come up or just like approach people. It was cool. Yeah, we were on Talent Time too. It's a friend of mine's like sitcom, so we did like a talent disco thing for all of like the live audience and stuff and did an interview with them. It was fun.
Cool.
Hmm.
Can you let the audience know maybe like what is a silent
Yes.
disco? Because I didn't know, I had never heard of them
Well,
before.
basically, you have a transmitter that you plug into your controller, and then whatever, like you have little buttons on the side of the headphones, and there's like 3 or 4 channels that you can switch between, so you can have multiple DJs playing at the same time, and the transmitter just kind of picks up whatever color you're playing, whatever channel you're playing. I forget
Cool.
what the radius is, but it's pretty good. Yeah, so you can basically listen to music and not bother people like wherever in public and stuff.
Well, that's it. Like I was thinking, like, why don't cities do this more often? Like I out here where I live, it's like we've got an amphitheater. You could have this fest, and you wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to worry about noise
Oh,
complaints because
100%.
everybody's
Yeah.
dancing in
It's funny.
silence.
I was
Yeah,
actually
it's pretty
just
cool.
contacted yesterday by an event. I think it's by Noah, and it's like this. They're going on it's like a world tour, and they're making their stop in Vancouver on Monday, and they want me to play bowls for them, which is cool. I've been seeing a lot of their ads pop up, but they're using silent disco headsets as part of the immersive
Oh,
audio
cool.
experience. And I've done that before for sound baths. Like I did a sound bath on the beach, and if you don't have the silent
Oh,
disco
wow.
headsets, then the frequency, the music gets lost in the waves. So we mic'd the bowls
Oh,
and like
wow.
had people. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
That's really cool. Like, it's a lot of cool, obviously, potential to be doing some things like that because people are looking for different things to do, right?
totally. Yeah,
And there's so many whiners out there now that it's good if you can do things that aren't bothering other
I
people
know.
because then you don't have to worry about the stress of dealing with people
I
that
know.
just want to ruin everybody
I
else's good
know. And
time.
space is expensive right now in Vancouver. Everyone's like pretty jam packed
Right,
together.
right,
Yeah. Hmm.
right. So as far as going into the sound bowl, so maybe explain what maybe basically about what sound bowls are, what sound baths
Sure.
are.
So each of the bowls is tuned to a different note, which aligns with a different chakra within the body. And when we have disease in our body or blockages, when we have blockages in our body, it can cause disease. It can cause us to feel emotionally not well, that can transpire into our body not feeling well. So the just behind the bowls is that when you're playing this music, when we're playing these different frequencies, that it's helping move the chi or the energy through the body to bring us back to our natural state of flow, where we're healthiest and happiest. So
I noticed because when oh, sorry, yeah, like when you did them and I was there, and you always ask afterwards, you kind of let everybody sort of share their experience, and I always said I see purple,
yeah,
and I was as I was researching this, I looked into it, and purple corresponds with, I believe, the third eye
Yep.
chakra, which also corresponds with 432
Mm-hmm.
hertz.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that would make sense. It's really crazy because I mean I wasn't imagining. I didn't go in with any preconceived notions that I was going to see purple,
Yeah. It's like
but
decalcifying. It's like when we have a
right,
lot of screen time or a lot of like like social media stuff or like unhealthy food or like all the things that can make us kind of get cut off spiritually or energetically from source. So when we start to do things like
right,
sound baths or like there's a lot of different other things that can help decalcify, like your third eye, then you start to see colors like purple. That's exactly it. So that's really cool. I love that.
right. Yeah. So as far as this, because I saw you do shamanic dream work, so
Yeah,
maybe go into that
sure. Yeah.
and explain what that is.
Yeah, as mentioned before, when I started researching shamanism when a friend got sick, and I came across Michael Harner, and he was an American anthropologist, and he was not spiritual whatsoever when he started his study of different shamans from different tribes, like all over the world. And what he found was all of the shamans had very similar ways of talking to spirit, of like healing their communities, essentially. That didn't involve it wasn't a drug thing. A lot of people first thing they're like, "Oh, you do shamanism work. You must like ayahuasca." I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
no, I do
Right.
not." Which is great, but it's just not why I do it. And he found that there was all these core fundamentals, these things that all the shamans did that was very much in common with one another, that they would have no way to access or to contact one another in order to like plan this in advance. So he formed his school and his teachings on core shamanism. And it basically is a way to get yourself into like a deep like hypnotic state, which is very similar to what the sound bowls do. They use like the melodic beating of a drum, and then
Mhm.
what I did was I trained with different groups of shamans for the last like 4 or 5 years, and we were taught how to essentially it's kind of like lucid dreaming. It's like a daydream kind of. It's very similar to what happens with the sound bowls, and it's like an active meditation where you are actively going to like the upper world or the lower world, and like you're like when they say mindful, like mindfully being here, like feeling my hands, we're watching them. So mindfully meditating is just like when you're on a journey, it's like I'm walking one foot in front of the other. I'm going up this ladder. I can feel that, you know what I mean? You're kind of like in your head mindfully meditating to get on this journey. And they go so far as to like mapping out their dream world, and then you go up there, and it's they always say it's like the first thing, the first color, the first thought that comes to mind when you're coming from a grounded state is what you're supposed to be seeing in that moment. So it's like once you get mindfully into that space, then being very curious and aware of the stuff that's coming up, and then asking questions about what it is, and getting guidance when you're in that state. So that's the gist of it. So yeah,
Cool. And are you still doing more training? Where is this going to go for you as
yeah.
far as?
Well, I did it at the Foundation of for Shamanic Studies, and I don't know, I'm very much in touch with them. We do like drum circles. A lot of the shamans that I work with are in Ontario. Um, yeah, but I've completed my training with them, and I'm in like the shaman journal and stuff. It's cool. I'm like, hey, there's my name.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like very
Cool.
random, but yeah, I found that it's such a cool thing. Like I've worked with like different shamans where they'll want an answer to something, and they'll go into this because you go in with a question. It's like I need guidance on this. I need an answer. I don't know whatever. Like one of the shamans I was working with, he was having like tendonitis in his ears. He goes on a journey, and he comes back, he's like, it was so weird. He's like, I just got a recipe for all of these things that can help my ears from stop ringing. He looked it up. All of the herbs were literally for that, and he was just like, I didn't know any of this before. So it's like stuff like that. It's like I think it
So you're downloading basically
yeah,
from the universe.
100%. Yeah. And a lot of different
Right.
types of meditation, it does exactly that. These are just different ways at getting at them, in my opinion. And that's when
Right.
shamanic dreaming, the dream work that I do, I do it with drums sometimes, but a lot of time with bowls because that's just my thing. And it works. It
Cool.
does the same kind of thing, getting you into that kind of it's like a daydream state, and then letting yourself just go on a journey and just being very curious about things that are coming up. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just really interesting. Like, how do you find doing the things that you do as far as you're very aware and connected, but then you live in this real world as well.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like to me, it's such a there's such a contrast between what
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know. I call the 3D world and I call it the spiritual world, right? And
yeah.
how do you
sh-
deal
The
with it?
shamans call it like you have an ordinary state of consciousness and a shamanic state of consciousness. But like for
Right,
me, it is a lot of changing gears, you know, because you're like playing a festival and everyone is drinking and doing the things, you know, and then all of a sudden I'm like leading a meditation and we're talking about, you know, not drinking for it's just like
right,
it's very much like a but I find that one I wouldn't be happy if I could only do one or the other. Like what the one
right.
balances the other out. It kind of keeps me yeah, I feel like it all kind of comes back to music too. Like
Yeah.
when I was in my like early teens, I won a model search when I was like 14, 15 years old, and from then on, like I developed a very unhealthy relationship like with food. I struggled for a
Okay.
long time with it, like a pretty serious eating disorder, and it was music that like brought me back. I feel like because I was vibrating at such a low frequency, but when I would listen to music, it almost dissolved those horrible feelings. And it just like
Right.
brought me, you know, and that was another like big moment in my life. I'm like, I need to work in music. Like this is like I always say it's like music saved my life. I'm hoping to repay the favor because it actually did. Like, and I've seen it so many times too with like the sound bowls or like when you listen to a really good song or like it just like, you know, it just makes you move. It makes you just like be so motivated and all the things. I'm like, this is so beautiful. It's just like the universal like language, you know? It's like,
Right.
yeah. So
Do you have you ever had this? Because I get this with some songs. It almost feels like it almost feels like it's pulling my spirit out of my body. Like it
absolutely.
elevates you. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? It's a really weird feeling, but it's like it is. There's just certain songs that I've had in my life where I'm just like it feels like,
Absolutely.
and you can hear it in singers' voices too. When people talk about someone having soul, I can hear it
Yeah.
in some people's voices, and others, most people, I don't.
Yeah.
Right?
I grew up in the church and I would like sing in front of my church and like played in the bands and stuff that, like as you know. And I've always seen music as that. It's like it's a way to communicate with like source. Whatever word you'd like to
Right.
use. That's not going to make others
Right.
feel alienated. But yeah, it's like a way that I use to talk to my god or whatever source. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I feel the same way, and it's like, yeah, just like, for me too. Music's always sort of been my savior. It's like
Mhm.
whenever I felt dark, because would fall pretty dark into myself, and music would always be the thing that would save me,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And yeah, just it is that connection to source. Totally believe that. I mean, music is one of the greatest things we have as human beings.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's like everything to me. It's so cool. And then seeing my son too, like he is playing piano and wants to produce, and he's like singing and making up his own songs and stuff. And it's like,
Right.
oh, like mini
That's awesome.
me.
Do you do sound bowls with him too?
Yeah, he plays them sometimes.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Oh, he does.
When he
Awesome.
was really little, I'd play them and like he would just fall asleep. First, he's like, "No, I hate the sound bowls," and then like 5 minutes later, he's just like out cold. I'm like,
He's
"Yes."
he's sleeping.
Yeah.
So are all not all the sound bowls are 432, right? There's some different ones as well, right?
Well,
Do you have like
there's two spectrums that they normally tune them to, and it's 432 and 440. So most music nowadays is
440?
tuned to 440, and
Yeah,
432 is flat, but 432 is what like classical music it has been tuned to. And there's some songs that still
right,
are. I think like some Taylor Swift or like Justin Bieber or like they are tuned to 432, which just means like it's flatter. And I try to do that too.
right,
So you can actually go in your DAW and you can change it to 432 and like change all the other samples or all the whatever else you're using to layer into
right.
your track. You can change it to 432, but like a lot, but it's by default now 440. Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Hmm.
that's cool. Have you ever heard the I didn't send you this earlier, but the studies they did on memory of water, and it would make sense that if you're resonating at a more peaceful frequency, since we're bags of water, pretty
Hmm.
much, that that it would that this that healing frequency would sort of resonate with us, right?
Yeah.
Because I think yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Like they did this study where they took it basically was it was the HIV
Mm.
scientist Luc Montagnier, and they basically what they did is they took an HIV strand and they put it into water, but then they diluted it over many dilutions, and then by the end of it there was no HIV in it, but it was what they also did is they ran sound waves through it. It gave off a certain frequency. The specific DNA strand gave off a certain frequency, but the one that didn't have the DNA actually in it by the end of the dilution still had that frequency. But that's not even
Interesting.
where it ended. So what they did is they took that frequency and they sent it overseas to Italy, because this was done in New York. They sent it to Italy, and they reconstituted the DNA just by the frequency. So it was just showing that water has this ability to retain the frequencies we give. So that's why if you're giving yourself loving messages,
Totally. Yeah.
it's gonna resonate with you. So I guess that's where I was trying to go with what I was saying about the water is
Yeah.
that if you're running 432 through it and it's a healing
Hmm.
frequency, we're gonna vibrate at that frequency,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be good. And it's because we're these big bags of water,
You
really.
know.
So
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said for that. I personally I play like healing music in my apartment all the time. It's always just kind of there. I find it like
mm,
really fills the space and feels like really good. Yeah, there's
right.
just so many different things. There's so many different avenues when it comes to like the healing power of music. I think I think you knew this. I fell on the stairs and broke my jaw. I fainted and broke my jaw.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's right.
And I
Yeah,
completely forgot about
yeah,
it. I pretty much soon after I continued to do sound baths and I healed so
right.
quickly. I didn't bruise at all. Like I literally here and
Right.
here. I
It was like 2 weeks and you were better.
yeah, yeah, it was really
It's
weird.
something like that. It was
I
crazy. It wasn't like the 6 to 8 weeks. It was like I remember because I remember when
yeah,
you had told me you'd done that because I think you had put off a sound bath because of
yeah,
it,
yeah. I
and then like within like 2 weeks you were fine
It
again.
was crazy, and now I forgot that I broke it. Like I just I'm like, oh yeah, I
Yeah,
broke my jaw.
that's
It
right.
healed really fast, and I've talked to a couple different
Right.
holistic like practitioners, and they're all convinced it's because I'm playing sound bowls in my face constantly. They're like, I think that that really has
Probably.
something to do with it. So yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I just feel like there's
No.
so much about it that we don't understand, and we're just kind of like
Yeah.
getting deeper and deeper into it. And I think it's super exciting. It's a really cool time to be, in this field, this field of study. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you say you're not a doctor, but when I met you, I think I even said this to you. I said you're a true healer. Like
Aw.
I got that vibe because, like there's so many charlatans. We were talking about this too. There's so many charlatans in this industry, whether it's
Mhm.
in any of the healthcare,
Yeah.
from
It's
what I do
unregulated
to
a lot. Well, your
right.
industry is more regulated, but like for
But even mine, there's charlatans.
yeah,
Like there's charlatans in all these places, these fakes and frauds, and all they care about is making money,
yeah,
and they're not actually true healers. Like when you really come in contact with someone that's a true healer, you feel it and you know it,
yeah,
right?
100%. Like they're in it for the right reason. They're not. Yeah.
Right.
My mom is a therapist, and my grandma and my aunts. So I've grown up seeing a lot of
Right. So you just naturally, yeah,
just yeah.
therapeutic.
I've just my mom had like she had her own practice when we were quite young, running it out of our home. So we kind of witnessed a lot of that. Or she does like a lot of somatic experiencing, which is where I learned that from. And she would practice a lot of that kind of stuff on us. And even to this day, like I started teaching at the Den in Los Angeles, and
Mm.
she's there at all my virtual classes. And Cassie, you did great. Like I have this advice. What about this? Like it's so supportive. It's so nice.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. So did that kind of lead you? Because I think that's how we kind of met. Was that we kind of had the same opinion on the thing that happened over the last 3 years, and I think we did
yeah.
anyways. We didn't really talk about it, but I think we were on the same vibe. I mean, did that kind of lead you to be kind of more natural and knowing that there's more to health than just fear based?
Well,
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, I've always been more natural. Like I don't even take Advil if
Right,
I can avoid it. I'm really like careful about all of that. My mom is I grew up like this, like going to like holistic
right. That's
healers
how
when
I
I
was
was
too. Yeah,
yeah, like just
totally.
drink this herb, you'll feel better, Just, um
Right.
but if we're talking about COVID, which I think we are,
Yeah.
um
Sure.
yeah, I mean, it's funny because I sold a lot of face masks, but
I know that's what I always laugh. I actually say stuff. I'm like, I know this girl, and she sold all these masks, and she doesn't even believe in this. And I was like, I wish I would have done that because that's brilliant.
Well, it was such an accident. Like I don't know. I just was launching my new, like bamboo t-shirts, and
Yeah.
then that was in January, and I was getting them made, had them all designed, all the tech packs, everything's ready to go, and then everything gets shut down. And then I'm like, and then
Right.
and then so, like one of my people that I was working with, they're like, "Do you want to try a face mask?" I'm like, I guess. Like this is like we don't even know anything about I know nothing about face masks. I'm
Right,
like, I
right,
guess so. So I did like a small order of like 600 of them. And it was funny cuz I'm like, well, they have to be bamboo because I have a bamboo clothing line, you know? And then
right.
we need 3 pockets, I guess. I don't know what a PM 2.5 filter is, but sure, like we need a pocket for it. And then I was like, what do I store this in? Oh, what if it was a matching bamboo bag? And then one thing led to another. I sold like 30,000 face masks. I did like over $130,000 in sales in like 6 months in face masks. And I'm just like, people are like asking me, they're like, how do I use this? I'm like, I don't know. Just
Your
kidding.
story is like the best out of all of COVID. I think I love your story the best because it makes me laugh. It's
I,
like
I was
fucking
partnering with
so
like I
amazing.
was partnering with like the League to Save Lake Tahoe in California. I did their face masks. I
Yeah,
did Harbor Air pilots. I did like the helicopter pilots. I'm just like all this charity where I'm just like literally everywhere. People are like in London. I just saw someone on the subway with your face mask on. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all
so
right.
awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty random. Everyone's like, I love the matching bag. I'm like, oh, I just didn't want to put them in a plastic bag. I'm glad you like that. So like, yeah. It was like people were scared, and I dealt with like
Yeah,
thousands of people all over the world that are just like terrified, and they're
right,
looking to me of all people to like calm them down. And I was just like, I felt like very fortunate to be in that position where I was able to
right,
like talk to people and just kind of like understand that they're coming from a place of fear and like all of the things.
all right,
And then I educated myself real fast. Like becoming from a political science degree, like it's basically a glorified research degree, let's be honest. So I researched
right.
everything I needed to know about like all of the things, and I was like very like strategic about it just so I could be as useful as possible. And I care about things I do. I put all of myself into the things, you know,
Totally.
and with my clothing line, I'm just like, I want to make sure that if I'm going to do this, that I'm going to be really good at it. I'm going to be very like educated. I'm going to know what I'm talking about so I can actually be of service to people. So, and not be a charlatan, you know, and give them. And I was actually
No, that's
my
it.
customers came to me and they're like, you have to raise your price. Like you can't like, and I'm like, really? They're like, no, like you're such a good product. This is so great. You need to. I'm like, okay. Like usually it's like the other way around, you know? So I thought that was kind of cool too. Cause I care very much about people I work with and just what I do. Cause if you don't like care, why are you doing it in the first place? You know?
Totally,
So
totally. No, and that's one thing no one will say about you is you're a charlatan. No,
I
there's no
hope
way.
not.
Like if anyone that meets you knows that you're authentic just by meeting you. Like
Yeah.
said, super impressed. You
Thanks.
see all these, I blast on certain types of women all the time, and about like them being, boss babes, all the blah, blah, and they're bragging and pumping themselves up. But if anyone called themselves a boss babe, it should be you. Like honestly, like
Aw.
you, it's true though. Like you're kicking ass in all these avenues, and you're authentic about it too. So it's like super impressive.
Aw,
So
that's so
I know.
nice.
Anyways,
There
yeah, like if any women are watching, they want to like mentor off somebody. Well, it should be somebody like you, because that's the thing too. You're so humble about it too.
Aw.
Like there's so many people out in the planet, and they're so narcissistic and egotistical, and it's like you're actually doing real things, and
Yeah.
and continually, like you're never stopping. Every time I see something that you're doing something else. Like and it's in something totally opposite of what you were doing before. It's like you're multifaceted, so it's like super impressive.
Aw,
So
thanks.
I just want to say that, like, I know there are a lot of women watch this podcast, and it's like, yeah, if someone's gonna follow somebody, then follow you,
Oh,
because
well,
you're doing it right. So
I just feel like life is so short, you know, and it's like we
right,
should like there's that stupid I love memes. The one meme, it's like life is so short. It's like why aren't we running like we're on fire towards our wildest dream or something like that. And it just like it's so true. So, and I just want to be a
right,
good role model to my son. And I just, everything that I'm doing too, it's like I'm doing it because there's something inside of me or above me or something that's just like, this is what you should be doing. Just go. Just like you'll understand later. I'm like, okay. So I just keep going. But it's not to
right,
be, look at me. I'm so awesome. Look how great I am. You know, it's more just like, this is I'm doing what's in alignment with what I feel like what I'm
right.
supposed to be doing. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and I find that it's like people that are really connected to source, they're doing it for the right reasons, right? And it's like it's not even for that they're looking for a reward. It's
Mm,
just the fact that they're just in that space, and that's enough,
yeah.
right? When you're connected, that's enough. Like if anything else, monetary fame, whatever comes from it, that's just that's just icing.
Yeah.
The actual cake is just actually being connected.
Yeah, and I always say too, it's like if we're on the right path, if we're doing what we, what is in alignment with what we should be doing, then the money will come because you will be supported and the universe will support you if you're like on the right path.
Right.
And money is just energy. It's just like a way that we can be supported in, living the life that we're living and, trying to accomplish the things that we want to do with our time.
No, totally. No, that's super impressive. Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of that Joe Dispenza stuff too, even before I
Oh,
met you,
he's so great.
and it's like, yeah, getting out into that quantum where you're like, if there's any endless possibilities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you focus on things, your body produces chemicals to those things. Like even with going into, not to get into my divorce, but get into my divorce, I feel kind of responsible for that because I spun all this negative energy thinking that it was going to happen at some point, and it did. Even though I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you could do it negatively, you could do it positively,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you know, and what like what he says, what you think is what you become,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I didn't have to, but I've just automatically over my life, like I maybe I live in a dream world sometimes, but like if I need to have people around me that support that. Otherwise, like I can't take the negative kind of thoughts and low frequencies coming in because it disrupts my daydream. And I feel like in a lot of ways I live in a constant daydream where it's like, what about this? Oh, this would be cool. Oh, I like this. I want this to I love this is exciting. I can't wait. So that meme or post or whatever that I sent you is very similar to that. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
getting excited about the things that you want to happen as if they have happened, and then continually just saying them
Right.
as if they have, and then just continue like living like they have. And it's just like it maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, I'm not exactly sure, but it's just like it will spiral. And there's something too to be said about the subconscious not really knowing the difference between what's real and what's not real when you're feeling
Right.
it in your body. I'm not sure exactly about the science behind that, but
Well, Joe Dispenza does talk. Sorry to cut you
yeah.
off, but Joe Dispenza talks about that. Is like you start to, if you want to believe that something's going to happen, you've got to, like you said, you've got to believe in your heart that it's actually already happened.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens then is your brain starts to produce chemicals that's associated with and you've also got to you've also got to have an elevated emotion, so love, gratitude, something like that, attached to that memory or
Yep.
that thought.
Mm. Yeah.
And with those that feeling, it actually starts to produce chemicals that mimic that
Mm-hmm.
feeling. So then, yeah, it's just so it's a spiritual thing connected with actual
100%.
biology, right?
Absolutely.
It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool. I like to call it sometimes like bending energy because
Right, right.
like I say sometimes too, what I'll do if people want to try this, I think it's pretty cool. It's like you have a little chime candle, and in the candle you like hold it in your left hand and just think about all the things that you're excited about that you want to happen in your life, or just pick a topic. We could say it's like about success. So you have a green candle, you put it in your left hand, you're thinking about wealth or abundance or success or like health or all these things. And then you open your eyes, carve those things into the candle: abundance, like health, just all the things that would like just words that come to mind. Business success, light the candle, and then you just like in your head look into the flame and then picture what that looks like. Little daydreams, and I kind of do variations
Cool.
of that, like in the sound baths,
Yeah,
but like at home type thing. And then you stare into the candle and you feel it in your body. Like, what does it feel like? Like, how is this going to play out? And you're getting excited about it. And you're so like, and then you do that until the candle burns through the words, which could be like an hour to 2 hours. And when you're
right.
doing that, you're changing the frequency, you're changing the energy. You're actually like, you're pushing your intention, your energy through the candle flame to be kind of manifested throughout. And then you just dispose of the candle wax later. So it's like a nice little thing, I think. And if we're doing that on a daily basis, like you wake up first thing in the morning, look around your home. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. I'm so blessed. Like, thank
Right.
you. This is so cool. I'm so lucky. Thank you. And then you go on your day with that kind of like that gratitude kind of instilled in you. And that will impact how you interact with people on the street. That will impact how you carry yourself. That will impact how you treat yourself, your inner dialogue, how the food you feed yourself, if you go to the gym or not. Like, the more we are living in gratitude and love, like it just will elevate our life on so many different levels. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so would that be is that how you start your day?
Yeah.
Like something like that? Not maybe the candle every day, but
Yeah.
you start your day with gratitude, with love.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just
Right.
like just checking in, it just like I'm not complacent. Like I still have so many things that I want to accomplish that I'm excited about doing, but I'm so grateful for what has happened. And it always helps too to like look back, like what was I doing a year ago? What was I doing 4 years ago? Like, wow, good job, Cassia. You know, like you did this, keep going. Like this is fun. And then it does get fun because you realize like how many things that you can accomplish and how many like, trials that you can get over, and it makes you just feel even more powerful. And in that too, it's like that brings you to a state of feeling humble because it's you're doing this for yourself, like you're not doing this to prove a point, like not to out of spite to get back to anybody else. Like when you're doing it for
Right.
that reason, and then that brings you back to what you said about like the boss babes or whatever the thing.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
That's it. Okay. So let's see. Where are you going to be in 5 years then?
That's a good question. Well, I want my practice to be. I've started a new sort of collective, so it's called Mystic Arts, and it's a kind of a collaborative like group of different spiritual practitioners, and we all kind of come together to do like different kind of events, and all by donation. I have a studio, well, a couple studios here in Yaletown, and then long distance through the Den in Los Angeles. I want that to grow. Like I looked into starting a sound healing foundation and actually going through all the paperwork and stuff that it would take to do that, because then you get certain grants from the government. So then that could help, cover all the costs that it takes to like offer sound healing at a very low or no rate for people. So that has kind of been on my mind as well. But for now, just really putting more time into mystic arts. And then with my music, like I want to tour, I want to do festivals like next summer. Working on an album right now, which I'm really excited about. I was funded by
Cool.
Factor, which is like funding from the government that they give artists to. So they funded my single, which is really exciting. So I'm just finishing that, and yeah, just like keep
Was that
growing.
Ghost? Was Ghost? Was that those song?
Ghosts.
What was the name of?
Oh,
What was it? What was it? What was the song that got released then?
the song, well, that one, Ghost, hasn't been released. I have an album. So I
Oh,
have
okay.
9 tracks actually that are
Okay.
being worked on right now.
Oh, okay. That's one of the tracks.
Yeah,
Then sorry.
yeah, yeah. It's
I saw that one and I was like, yeah, listening to it. Yeah.
yeah, that the remix of Ghost. So it's all going to be bass house too. And that's what I played at
Okay.
Rifflandia. It was like a brand new
Cool.
bass house.
Cool.
Yeah. Hmm.
Though, so you've traveled obviously quite a bit throughout your sort of life
Yeah.
with modeling and probably the band and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Where are some of your favorite places to travel to?
I love Miami. I miss it all the time.
Oh yeah,
I was
yeah, you
living
always seem
there.
to be.
Yeah, I was in
Yeah.
Miami and New York, kind of just going back and forth. Actually, I
Hmm.
recently went back to Miami a couple months ago. It's not the same. South Beach is
No.
really run down. It's honestly kind of sad to see, but
Hmm.
going forward, I think I would like to check out LA more. That's where the
Hmm.
studio is that I'm teaching out of, and we're talking about doing retreats and like in studio sort of sessions. So yeah, that's on
Cool.
the horizon. But I have a 5-year-old, so that obviously,
Yeah.
yeah, adds
Cool.
adds to it.
Have you got into sports with him yet?
Not yet. Well, he played.
Not yet. No. Is he?
I've made him play soccer, but he does not seem very
Yeah.
interested at all.
No. No. Yeah. No, but soccer in Vancouver is not fun and
Yeah,
too much rain.
I know, and they're outside all
but
season. Yeah, it's a lot.
yeah.
Hmm.
Like, what do you see the biggest problem in society right now?
Only one. Which
Well, the
society?
biggest problems, our society, like, well, the 3D world.
Uh,
Yeah.
what do you,
The Western society, say Western culture, Western society. I mean, I talk a lot about how toxic it is, and
well,
I just maybe get a,
have you
you
heard?
know,
I just heard this today that Trudeau is going to be regulating podcasts.
yes, I heard
So
that too. Yeah,
what does that mean? Do you want to talk about that?
right. Well, sure. Yeah, like, is that going to be only the things he wants to talk about? You know,
Yeah, like what do you have to like
right,
what rules do you need to follow in order to be,
right.
to meet the standards? Like does that mean that like all the podcasts are just going to be taken down if they don't meet like certain requirements?
Exactly. That's what I was wondering too. Like guys like Joe Rogan that might be on more what they would call right wing, which isn't even right wing. Like most people are just centrist. I believe truly, like most Canadians, North Americans in general, are probably fairly close to center,
Yeah.
slightly right or left.
Mhm.
I don't think there's too many extremists in my opinion. I haven't met them in my life, so I don't know where they think all these right wing people are coming from because
Yeah.
I've always considered myself a centrist.
Yeah.
And maybe slightly to the left when I was younger, and now that I have kids, slightly to the right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard for me to talk on this because I don't really know a lot about Canadian politics. I know that a lot of people do not
Right.
like Trudeau right now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it's like for being like a Republican, it's like you work really hard for your money. Why do I have to subsidize people that don't work like that? But there's so many
Right.
different layers to that. Um,
Well, that's it. I mean,
so,
I consider myself a libertarian, which would
mm,
be like sort of the Jeffersonian,
hmm
don't tread on. Well, I mean, I literally have it on my arm. It says, "Don't tread on me." Like it's, but I'm not a hard liner where because I understand that there's people that can't do. Like I'm
hmm
okay helping the can't do's, like the
totally.
people that maybe mentally disabled, physically disabled, someone that's had a rough go,
Hmm.
and is just just needs a hand out the one time to like get them out of the ditch. I'm okay with helping those people.
Yeah. But
I don't like helping people that perpetually lay in the ditch and make excuses for themselves. So those ones I have trouble with. So
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know so that's where my socialism is not. I'm not really. I don't really line with socialism. I don't think
No.
that it's my job to take care of everybody regardless of their motivations. Like
Yeah.
I have yeah, I have no problem helping those that can't, but yeah, I have major trouble helping slugs.
Yeah,
Right? They
because it
just
gets to
don't
the point where
want to lay
you
around.
you enable people, and it's not really doing a service to
Yeah.
anyone. But that's like there's always exceptions to that. So I don't
Right.
know. It's a really tricky situation, And then you look at like the downtown east side and like how that is just like
Right.
completely out of control. But like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, what is even?
Right.
You can't even do anything. It's just like
Well,
it's heartbreaking, really. Like I was
right. When Riverview was open, it was a problem because they said, "Oh, you're institutionalizing people," but then we shoved them back out on the street,
mhm.
and they're not getting medicated properly. So then they're using things that have fentanyl in it and all these
Yeah.
other things, right? So it's like you said, it's like, what do you do?
Well, yeah, and it's like people with like five jobs can't even afford to pay their rent right now. Like what?
Right.
Like what are
Right.
we gonna what is everyone gonna do? Like people are leaving Vancouver
Right.
left, right, and center right now. Like I
Right.
know like at least four or five of my friends are just leaving. They're going to Mexico because apparently the
Right.
dollar is supposed to be their dollar is supposed to be doing really good pretty soon or something. So
Right.
they're investing in
Yeah.
property there and just taking off to Mexico. I don't know. It's yeah, it's like a lot. So, and
Yeah. It
I
is.
feel like that's why like there's like a lot of women's groups that are I don't know if they've always been here or if I'm just learning about them now, but there's a lot of women's boss lady type groups coming up.
Hmm.
And I think it's to support one another because everyone is going through such like a time right now. So, and
Totally.
that's what another reason why with the sound bath stuff, I'm like, more than ever, I feel like people really need to be supported. So just trying to be similar to the face mask, only completely different, but just trying to be like a support system for people that might be scared or that might need some kind of community or, yeah, all of those things. So tie that back together. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I mean, I have a good career, and I'm living in a rental in Surrey. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
going through divorce. Obviously, that's tough,
Mm.
tough. But it's like, yeah, it's like $2,100 to rent this place, and it's an old building.
It's
I'm
crazy.
sure your place is, and I'm sure your place is just absolutely off the chart. You're downtown, so
Yeah. I got lucky with that
it's insane.
loft. Yeah, I got it like the owner is in China and yeah,
Hmm.
I got it pretty like at an affordable rate before because I've been there for like 5 years too and it hasn't went up that
Right,
much. But looking at the rental market right now, or like you get what, like a two bedroom for 1.5 million. It's like, what if you have three
right,
kids? Like, where do they
right,
go?
right,
Yeah, and all this the
right,
schools are like overrun with kids right now. Like even Cassius getting into the school that he goes to in Yaletown, like you have to go on a
right,
lottery. And if you don't get accepted to that, then you have to go to the overflow school. And it's because it's no cheaper for kids to and parents to move to the, outside of Vancouver now. So everyone's just kind of staying put. So the kids are flooding the school system and there's not enough schools. So it's
right.
just like,
Well, I
yeah.
know out here, like they can't build schools fast enough.
Yeah.
They build one and it's already got portables on it.
There you go. It's
So,
crazy.
and then all the sports organizations are over full, and they don't
Yeah.
build their ice arenas or ballparks fast enough.
Yeah.
And so, and you want to keep kids out of trouble, well, you got to keep them in sports or
Mm-hmm.
activities, music, whatever their thing is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be sports, but an activity,
Yeah.
and it's like it's so hard to find anything,
Well,
and
uh,
like you said, if you came out of the suburbs, it's just as busy out here,
yeah,
right?
100%.
Everything's packed, right? So,
Yeah. I'm gonna start doing sound baths for kids. I've decided, like with
That would be awesome.
Cassius and like, yeah, I guess like under 10 could be good.
Well, let me bring. I'll bring my kids
Do
out
it
for sure.
for
They
sure.
would be into it. Yeah,
And they can like play the bowls and stuff. I think that's kind of cool. I've never
yeah,
seen anyone do that
cool.
before, but he like loves playing them, so I figure like if he does, other kids might too. So
Well, I think that's the key right now. Is there's people that are waking up, and I hate saying that I'm
woke.
yeah more. Yeah, you know what I mean. Or I don't even or people say you're so alpha. I'm not alpha. I've never been alpha.
Yeah,
I've always been that sensitive guy,
yeah,
and like I was never an alpha guy.
right.
I just hate all these labels, just
Yeah.
trying to like say we're better. But there is definitely an awakening, and it definitely feels like well, obviously, once you wake up, you never fall back to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I think we're on this like wave that's going to crest at some point, and it's like yeah. What my point was with the kids, if we get this generation, this younger generation, to start out where they're aware and they're tuned into the universe or God or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
then I honestly think that's the generations that's gonna save us
100%. I
personally.
think it's like 2 to 7 are the most formidable years, or like up to
Mm,
7, and that's when they start kind of getting programmed, if you want to use that word, by schools or
right,
TV or all of the things, you know. But up till then, they have like this. They're in like star seeds, kind of. They're in touch with like the like source, as if it's like nothing, as if it's like completely
right,
normal. But then you kind of start to lose that as you grow up. So, but if you can get them at that age and nurture that and just be like, this is actually normal, this is beautiful, like let's keep going with this. Like I say with my son all the time, like what were your dreams, how does that make you feel, like being really sensitive to energy and like talking about like healing and just being like really in touch with nature. We go to the ocean every day, you know, like I just try. I didn't really get a lot of that. I grew up Catholic, so it's a whole other thing.
right,
So yeah, I think that that could, I completely agree with what you said. And just being like there to facilitate that in a very like,
right,
you know, open and like very nice way for children to kind of help navigate. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Which is why they're trying to indoctrinate our kids earlier
Oh
now.
God.
Like they're pushing off.
Yeah.
We won't get too far into that stuff, but it's exactly what they're trying to do. They know that that's where you have to get a child. Is the earlier you get them,
Yeah.
the more you can convert them to what you want to believe in,
100%.
right? But if you can keep them away and have them connected to
Yeah.
source, that's the key,
Yeah.
right? Have them walk on the grass with their bare feet,
Absolutely.
pick up bugs and have a care for animals and nature and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
I was always like that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was lucky that way. My parents were semi hippies,
Mine were
so
very hippie
it's
too.
like
Yeah.
right. So I was always walking bare feet
Yeah.
around and
Yeah.
yeah, had long hair,
Yeah.
long blonde hair, and yeah,
Yeah.
I was one of those kids, and it's like it never changed out of me, and I think that's why none of this programming that they try to and fear based shit that they try to push on us, and maybe that's the common denominator with the people that are awake,
Mm-hmm.
is maybe a lot of us have that deep inside of us from being a child, and
Mm-hmm.
we just we're too connected to source for them to reprogram us, right?
Yeah, so I read something the other day saying that connecting to your higher self is really just healing your inner child. That your inner child actually is your higher self. I thought that was really beautiful
Right.
as a way to kind of come back full circle. You know, it's not like we're trying to aspire to like be something else. It's like that's already in us. We're just trying to like find that back in us again. That was really nice. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's it.
Yeah.
I think I said that in one of my videos recently. It was basically like we have to stop causing harm with what we are as adults, because that's the thing. When we're a child,
Mm.
if we look at everybody, oh, that's what I think I said if you look at other people from other countries, if we have wars with, look at everybody as being who they were as a child,
Mm-hmm.
and you never want any harm to come to them, because as a child you don't want harm to come to anybody for
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
right? You have this pure heart,
Absolutely.
and it's like not until we become adults and we've had uh, relationship breakups and had our hearts broken and had our hearts hardened
Yeah.
and
Essentially like getting cut
and
off from other people where you know, then it's like you
right,
against them, you know, and then you're like fear based.
right,
You're like, if
right,
they eat, I won't eat kind of thing, you know, as an example.
right,
So it's just like I need to defend. I need
right,
to we're not really against each other though. You know, like just break it all down. We're like we're all in this together. We're all reflections of one another. We're all part of the same
Right.
collective source. Like, this is not supposed to be me against them. There's enough sun for everyone. It's just like, it
Right.
doesn't have to be such a
Exactly.
battle all the time. It's like, for
Yeah.
women, for one thing, women are pinned against each other. And it's like, you
Yeah.
need to tear someone else down to make yourself. It's just like, it's so exhausting. And that's part of, like,
Right.
sometimes I don't even be around people because it's like too much. And then we have all these women's groups and
Right.
everyone's like, God, it's like, oh my gosh, and you're just like, I need a
Yeah.
nap. This is a lot. But if we just like,
Well,
get
that's
back to the core fundamentals, we're all in this together. Sorry. Yeah.
no, no, absolutely. I love listening to you just talk.
Huh.
Like everything you say, I totally resonate with. It's amazing.
Huh.
Like when
Thanks.
that's it. Like it's just all this division:
Yeah.
men versus women,
Yeah.
gay versus
Yeah.
straight, black versus white, or whatever
Yeah.
whatever denominations you want to you break people down into these. But all we
Vaccinated
are is
versus
just
non-vaccinated.
right, right, exactly.
Yeah, it's like chaos.
And
It's like enough. Like, yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and that's why I've kind of pulled away from that too. If you've noticed some of my videos, I've kind of softened a bit because I'm so tired of spinning in the negative.
Mm,
And it's like our both sides are just as bad when they get to those extremes. And it's
yeah.
like the answer's in the middle. The answer's unity and connectiveness. It's not division, and
Yeah.
it's not you know falling further into your hatred for one another.
It's
It's
like
it's got to
leading by
stop.
example. And I always say the trash takes care of itself. Don't have to get
Right,
your hands dirty. Just like,
right,
be the best person, be the best version, be the best. Like, I'm trying to be the like a role model for myself or my son. Do you know what I mean? Like, what
right,
do I want to, what difference do I want to make in the world? Like, who do I look up to? Be more like them, act more like that, or just like, what do you want to leave behind when you pass away? What is the point of all of
right,
this? Is it to start fights with people? No.
right.
What?
No,
It's like, I
yeah. Well,
hope
that's I
not.
always say that. Like
Yeah.
we're this is 2023. What are we doing?
Hmm.
Why are we still bombing people? Why are we still hating people? Why are we talking about
Yeah.
like caring about what somebody else lives their life like? As long as you're not harming a child
I know.
or pushing your stuff on me, I don't care.
I know.
Like
Well, it's like
I don't
social
know why
media,
we're
and it's,
right,
it's the advertising companies wanting to sell people stuff. Really, it's kind of what that's
right.
getting into. Yeah.
Fear sells,
Mm-hmm.
hatred sells.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
And just like, yeah.
how much did Jeff Bezos make during COVID?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like, and it
100%.
was both sides purchasing from him.
Mm-hmm.
It was all the preppers buying all their prepper shit,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all the people afraid of COVID buying their fear of COVID shit.
Absolutely.
And it was just both sides. It's like all they want us to be as consumers, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's the bottom line.
Right.
Make them money.
Capitalism. That's where we are.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it kind of comes down to just not getting caught up in stuff and just realizing that we are more than our things. And yeah, that's a
Right.
whole other thing.
Well, yeah, we'll do another one sometime on
Which I
that,
really
and we
enjoy.
can
Like,
go
yeah, it
there.
was my favorite part of
Yeah.
political science is studying capitalism. But yeah,
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time.
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna do this again with you. So
yeah,
maybe we'll
cool.
wrap it up here today. Just to give you an intro. We're not like going too long, but yeah. So is there anything you want to do some self promotion? Where do they find you? Where do you get your products?
Yeah,
Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Just kind of give a rundown of what people can do to find you.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Cassia. My Instagram is Cassia's Music. My new studio is Mystic Arts. My website is cassiamusic.io. What else can I say? I have a new line of releasing new sound bowls and gongs, new candles and face oil really soon, like organic face oil stuff I'm really excited about. And that will all be through Mystic Arts. My clothing line is Cassia Bamboo, cassiabamboo.com. I'm a teacher at the Den in Los Angeles, as I mentioned, and I'm giving away a free week of unlimited classes. If anyone would like to get the promo code for that, I'd be happy to share. And the event that I'm doing on Monday in Vancouver, I'm offering 10% off to everyone. So yeah, it's like a fully immersive
Sweet,
healing experience in on Manitoba Street, Vancouver. So
sweet.
yeah.
And no festival is scheduled and the time being.
Not
No
yet.
DJ.
I have the underground thing
All
that I
right.
mentioned at the end
Yeah.
of February, but the show, I'm really focused on finishing my album. That's like my first
Okay. Cool.
album, the new website, all of the music video. I'm in the process of filming a couple different music videos right now, so I want to get all of that kind of finished, and then festival is probably next season. So yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was awesome today.
Yeah.
We'll catch up again soon, and yeah, have a good
Yeah.
one.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you guys for stopping by the show today. We appreciate you so much. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, make sure to show us some love on our Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest page, the Be Real Babe Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube and Rumble channels, like those episodes, and turn on the notification bells. You can find our video version of the show on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify, or you can catch the audio version on Apple and Google Podcast. But stay tuned for more realness coming to you soon. Until next time, babes.